Hi everybody, welcome to this new video of my GenAI Nerd channel. And in this video I want to show you 3 specific use cases that you can apply using the O3 reasoning model of ChatGPT. So the reasoning model is the model that can, what they call, think for itself. That means you give it a task, and before executing your task, this reasoning model will actually think about the steps it needs to do to execute your task. Moreover, the very nice thing of the O3 model is that it has access to tools. More specifically, when necessary, it can go to the internet to find information. You can give it specific files which it can access, and it can even start writing code if it needs to kind of analyze numbers. And so this combination of a thinking model that very flexibly can use different tools is a very powerful model that it allows it to do use cases that with the more traditional models would be much more difficult. So I just want to show you today 3 kind of use cases that I often use leveraging the O3 reasoning model. And the first use case that I wanted to show you is how you can actually use this for your kind of creating your private financial analyst. So let me show you the prompt that I use to kind of create a private financial analyst in the O3 reasoning model. So here we are in ChatGPT, and what did I do here? So I have actually uploaded an Excel sheet, and in this case it's an hypothetical Excel sheet with an example of an investment portfolio of a private person. I can briefly show you the Excel sheet, how it looks like. So we see here a typical investment portfolio of a private person with some ETFs, different kind of ETFs, global ETFs, some inflation-linked ETFs. So this would be a typical investment portfolio. So this is the file that I uploaded to my ChatGPT here. And then I enabled the O3 reasoning model. And then I gave it some more information. So I'm saying, look, you are a private banker with a lot of experience. Then I give some information about myself. And then I actually ask it to help me in kind of optimizing my investment portfolio. So now we can press send, and then you will see that it starts thinking and analyzing. So it's not really immediately executing my prompt. Now it is first thinking about what are the steps that I need to do the task that I received. And now you see actually tasks being executed, and you immediately see it now goes into the file to start analyzing the information that I provided. Typically here it will also start coding. You see now it starts to write Python code to actually analyze the data. So that's what is happening now. And this will take a bit more time than executing a traditional prompt, because here a lot of steps are executed. And here you see it's already in the optimization stage where it's really looking at how can I optimize the prompt. So now we just have to wait a bit more, and then we will see the final outcome. Okay, now the prompt is ready. So it has been thinking for 1 minute and 26 seconds. And so now we can take a look at the output. So I get some code of what it has been doing. And actually here you see it has created some visuals to represent my current portfolio. It's not really what I asked for it, but that's actually quite nice information. Then I get an executive summary where it looks a bit at potential issues of my portfolio. Here is a kind of overview of what I have today. So it has kind of categorized the different ETFs into buckets and shows the percentage. Then it gives me a target allocation where it, for instance, also looks at text-friendly solutions, which for me is very helpful because I'm not a native German person. So if it helps me with text optimization, that's really helpful. And here I get a specific action plan of what I can do. And here it's saying, okay, why this alternative would beat my current allocation. It gives me some risks and hard truth remarks and some next steps that I can do. And here some final words. So it's concluding that my portfolio looks already good, but that I can further improve the efficiency. So I hope you can see that with a rather straightforward prompt using this O3 model, we actually get quite an in-depth financial analysis. Of course, also here there's always the risk of hallucination, so you cannot blindly trust it, but at least I think it can give you some very nice inspiration about your next steps in optimizing your portfolio. So I would not encourage you to just copy-paste what it tells you and do it, but at least you get some very nice inspiration to start optimizing your portfolio. So that's the first use case that I want to show you. So now let's move to the second use case. The second use case is about leveraging this O3 reasoning model to come up with creative solutions. And you might know that being creative with ChatGPT is not always easy because it has this tendency to kind of converge to the average knowledge on the internet. So if you want to come up with creative out-of-the-box thinking, you really have to push a bit ChatGPT to go into out-of-the-box thinking. And here is actually a prompt that is very good in accomplishing this. And in combination with the O3 reasoning model, in my experience, it tends to generate very creative solutions. I will also put the prompt in the description of the YouTube video so that you can easily copy paste it. But so let me briefly show you how the prompt looks like. Again, we are saying you're an expert in generating thought-provoking business models. You have consumed more information than anyone in the history of the world, and you have demonstrated an extraordinary ability to make connections and recombine insights in unexpected ways. Please develop a business model for the following pain point. People in Germany struggle to monitor and pay their energy bills. And then I still push it a bit to really search for non-consensus and not yet hypothesized things. And so here we really want to push it to be creative. And then again, I can simply now press enter. And then again, you will see it starts thinking and it will start executing the steps. And then we have to wait again, I think, for like 1 minute to see what the final outcome will be. Okay, so let's take a look at what it has actually produced now. So it has been thinking for like 1 minute and 10 seconds. So here was my prompt to push it to be creative. And now we can take a look at the output. So it starts with recapping pain points, and it even did some research on the pain point that it gave it, namely the problem of Germans paying and monitoring their energy bills. Subsequently, it starts generating some counterintuitive insights as I requested. It is using that to come up with a kind of business model, which is called FlowPay, the energy autopilot wallet. And so the value proposition is here. Never see a scary bill again. FlowPay turns your energy into a daily predictable micropayment that self-adjusts to usage, automatically arbitrages spot tariffs, and even earns you cash in your shift load. Yeah? And here it actually generates for me the full business model. It emphasizes some novel mechanisms that I can integrate. Here is already a go-to-market roadmap for my startup. And again, some hard truths and execution risk. But I hope you can see, for instance, if we go back here to the business model, that this is already quite creative. If you would do this with a ChatGPT 4.0 model, you would get a much more down the road solution, like something with AI to monitor your energy usage. Actually, here are already much more creative elements. So in that way, actually, you can push ChatGPT and specifically the O3 model to be much more creative in your ideation. So I think that can be very helpful, actually. So now let us move to the final use case, and that's a use case where actually we can start using O3 models to kind of simulate a team of agents that can do a specific task for you. So let me show you the prompt that I use in that respect. So for this final prompt, I actually created a separate project. It's called here the Scale-Up Monitor. So recently for the European Scale-Up Institute, I created a monitor where we are actually monitoring like 2.1 million companies in Europe. And actually here I have a file that summarizes a lot of information for every country. So for every country, we have a lot of metrics in this Excel sheet. I can briefly show the Excel sheet, how it looks like. Yes, so you see you have here all kinds of European countries. And then for every country, we have a huge amount of metrics. Yeah? So that's kind of my core knowledge that I now have embedded in this project. That means that every prompt that I run in this project will have access to this Excel sheet. And so now let me show you actually the prompt that I have developed to analyze these data. And so here actually what I want to do is to kind of automate creating press releases for a specific country based on the data that I have provided. And to do so, actually in my O3 prompt, I create personas of agents that can help me to create this press release. And what kind of agents do I need? Of course, I will need a data analyst that will analyze the data for a specific country. So here I've given in my prompt a description of a data analyst. Then I have an agent that can write press release based on the data that have been analyzed. I have a kind of additional fact checker to make sure that there is no hallucination, and I have a final editor that can decide whether the press release is good enough to be published. And then actually in the prompt, I give it quite some additional information on the exact variables in my database, because this, in my experience, really reduces the risk of hallucination. Yeah, so if you clearly describe all the variables in your database, it can really understand the nature of these data and better analyze the data automatically. So here I simply gave it quite some additional information. And so here is my starting point. Yeah, so I'm just telling who I am. And what I want to do. So I want to create now a press release with the most important insights for Germany based on this monitor. Yeah, so in the end, what you do here is you give it a task, and then you describe kind of the specialists, the experts that are needed to execute the task. That's what you're doing here. So you're actually creating a kind of team of experts. So then again, we can execute a prompt. So let me do that now. So I go down here, let me start it again. And again, of course, like I shown before, it will start thinking again. And now it will again start executing steps. Again, it will start doing some coding, because that's what the data analyst will do. And then again, we will see what the final result is about. Okay, so now it has finished the analysis. So it has been working for like 1 minute and 28 seconds. So again, to recap, we created a team to analyze data in order to automatically generate a press release from the data. And so here, indeed, the data analyst did quite some analyses of the numbers. So here we can see the numbers. And here we have a first press release with a headline, subheader, body of the text. So here it actually summarizes the most important numbers. Of course, again, you will have to double check, because hallucination can always happen. But looking here at the numbers, and I know the database quite well, the numbers actually look very solid and accurate. So that's good. Then we can take here, so then we have the fact checker, so that kind of double checked some of the data. And finally, we should have the editor that is now kind of clear it for distribution. So in this way, you can actually nicely simulate a first team of agents that can work together, and in this way produce for you here, based on some data, a nice press release that summarizes the data for a particular country. So these were the 3 use cases that I wanted to show you today, how you can really leverage this O3 reasoning model, which I think is a very powerful model. A disclaimer is that actually I think the risk of hallucination is a bit higher than using traditional models, because it does a lot of stuff, and so there is always the risk that somewhere it makes a mistake. So I think double checking remains very important, but I hope you can see that it can do quite complex tasks for you, and if you use the right prompts, it's actually very nice in analyzing financial data, coming up with creative solutions, or kind of simulating a team of agents. So I hope this can give you inspiration to play yourself with this O3 reasoning model. And I thank you for your attention. If you liked the video, please don't forget to subscribe to my channel. And I hope to see you again when I publish the next video. Thank you. Bye.